Hi everyone, I just filmed a video and I had some time left and it's still nice and light outside, and because yesterday was a really busy day for me and I didn't have time to film any videos, I thought today I will upload 2 videos for you. And so the second one that I want to film now is going to be about this book. So it's going to be a book review for Billy Showell's Botanical Painting in Watercolor book. And I have mentioned this book a couple of times now. Once it was in a haul, which I've done a brief kind of introduction to it, and then I have also done another brief introduction in my latest video, which was about the gift guide. And some of you really wanted to see a little bit more of this book, and so I thought I will go through the book and sort of highlight a few things, as you could see, that I wanted you to know. So I'm not going to obviously flip through every single page because I don't think that's fair. I will try to give you a good idea. So first of all, when you open the book, you get a really pretty botanical illustration already on the first page. As you know, these pages are commonly left blank, so it's nice that Billy Showell added an illustration here. And so that's the beginning of it. The first few pages are very pretty. They all have illustrations on them. And let's jump on to the first page that I wanted to point out. So she talks about the art supplies that she uses in her illustrations, and predominantly she talks about this palette, which is the palette that I have included in my gift guide because I thought it's such a fantastic idea that obviously Billy Showell, being a beautiful botanical artist, you know, and that she shares the watercolors that she uses and then puts a palette together, and you can buy it. So because quite often when we watch someone who we really like on YouTube, and the instant thing you want to know is what palette they have, what color combinations they use, and there it is, she shares it. And I have this palette here, and have a look. I haven't done the swatches yet. I need to do this video separately. I'm gonna do it next week, but basically this is the palette, and I have opened it and showed it in the gift guide. So once again, if you want to have a brief look, you can do that. So like I said, the box is beautiful because it includes her illustrations, and this is a rare case of me wanting to keep the packaging, because usually I throw out everything quite quickly to not collect, you know, too much stuff, but in this case it's beautiful. So anyways, the brand is Sennelier, and there are 12 colors, and she explains how she uses them. So those are the 12 most used colors in her palette. She has 2 extra ones from 2 other brands, which I will show you later, but basically she says that she likes her paints to be transparent, and that Sennelier paints contain honey, which she finds to be smoother, and they keep softer for longer. And then let's move on to here. So here I thought that was a great tip she gives here, how to, when you're doing botanical illustrations of any sort of a flower, then you want to maintain the flower's condition for as long as you can, because if you are drawing from a cut flower, then it will wilt within a certain time, and you will then obviously have a different looking flower. And if you are spending, I don't know, 20 hours or so on your flower, you want it to look the same as much as you can. So she shares here a little tip of what she does. to keep her flowers fresh. So these things you can get in florist shops, where you just fill them with water and slide the flower in, and that way you can put it in a glass or something, or stand it up, or whichever way you want to use it. And that will be like for individual flowers, or you can use bigger glasses, or whatever you feel like. She just shows. Now the other thing I never actually seen before is a decal ruler, and she shares how she achieves those deckled edges, which is great. I need to investigate that. So next page here, I quite like the way she has designed this book and the photography that there are, that she shares of her studio. Her studio is beautiful. She's got a YouTube channel which features very short snippets of her tutorials, and I think you can purchase her tutorials on her website, but if you want just to get an idea, then there are short videos on her YouTube channel where you can also see her studio, which is very, very pretty. And I always find it interesting to see how the artist designs their studio, because it's very inspiring, and you might see something that you want to include in your own studio, or wherever you are doing art. So here again she gives you nice tips. So this is where I mentioned before. Here she gives nice tips how to maintain flowers in their shape, and how to prevent them from wilting, and also how to keep, for example, certain fruit and veg in the right color. So as you can see, she uses lemon to keep them white. For example, pear with a certain time would turn orangey when it's oxidized. So there's a good little tip there. Then what is it here? She talks about lighting. So she covers all kind of subject matters of the botanical art. All these things would be great for any level. If you're a beginner, if you already are quite advanced, obviously, you know, there's certain things you can still learn from her book, and if you're a beginner, then definitely it's explained in such a way that it's quite accessible, and you can try and create some of these pieces. Maybe not a big project to begin with, but you can certainly start learning by just taking a certain element of a petal or a leaf, and then experiment through using her tips. So here as well she shows a beautiful way of step-by-step kind of guiding you through the process, which is quite nice. And I love the way it's illustrated and very, very organized. Here is one of my favorite illustrations of hers. Very, very pretty, beautifully illustrated. Yeah, gorgeous. So she does, in this book, predominantly there are flowers. There are some fruit and veg. However, for example, the aubergine or the eggplant, it is also included in her other book, which I will do a separate review on. Where is it? It's this one here, so the watercolor fruit and vegetable portraits. But it's not identical illustration, so you'll see the eggplant painted again, but it would be a different eggplant, if that makes sense. So I haven't seen a repetition of the identical illustration being used in both books, so that's great. And let's see, so yeah, here she talks more about the color mixing and those Sennelier watercolors. And so here are the 12 color swatches right here that are included in this palette that I just mentioned to you before. And here are 2 more colors that she uses on a regular basis, as well as these 12 colors. So it's 14 colors in total she uses on a regular basis in her palette, or that's what her palette looked like at the point of printing this book. And the other two are Winsor Newton Opera Rose and Shinhan Bright Violet. Just in case you want to know which colors she used from Sennelier, I can quickly read it out to you. It's Yellow Deep, Lemon Yellow, Dioxazine Purple, Blue Violet, Quinacridone Gold, Red Orange, Sennelier Red, Rose Meadow Lake, Alizarin Crimson, Quinacridone Red, Helios Purple, French Ultramarine, this one is difficult to pronounce, Phthalocyanine Blue, Cobalt Blue, and Indigo. And then she has a great color key over here. So basically she just uses letters to emphasize the colors. So Yellow Deep would be YD, for example, and then later on she explains which colors to use, so it's quite useful as well. So I'll show you in a bit. Here again she goes through the basics of color mixing and all of that. So here's what I just said. So for example, it says, and let's have a look. So this color here, so it's I and QG. So I suppose is for indigo, and then QG is for quinacridone gold. So to achieve this color, she then shares with you what you need to mix to get these colors, which I think is very, very neat, because it makes it so simple for you, if you, especially if you're a beginner, and you don't know how to achieve sort of these muddy greens or slightly more mustardy greens, or the kind of bright greens. And then this is a very quick way for you to figure out what you need to mix with what. Or equally, if you are quite advanced and you would love to know how she mixes her colors, and you want to mix the exact thing that she does, then you obviously have it here. Then this illustration is super beautiful. It's one of my favorite illustrations. It's just gorgeous, and the variety of greens here is just remarkable. It's not an easy illustration to do, because obviously there's so much detail, the lines, the greens that need to be mixed in such a way to give the dimension to the flowers. It's just brilliant. And one of the most difficult colors in watercolors are the blacks and the whites, to mix them to look dimensional and realistic. So that's great. Couple more pages that I wanted to point out. So similar thing she does here for different colors, by the way, not just green but also for blacks, purples, blues, pinks, yellows, oranges, I think. And so that's very useful as well if you want to know what she mixes to achieve whichever tone of a color. And obviously look how pretty these are, very, very pretty. And these are the hydrangeas, I think, and I love hydrangea illustrations. And like I said, black is incredibly difficult, and I just wanted to show you, not everyone likes obviously black flowers, but it's just incredibly complicated to be able to produce something like this. The highlight is incredibly realistic, and the super fine lines to give the texture to the iris petals is just remarkable. And the whites, like I said, they're not easy to do at all, and she explains what you need to do for mid-tone mixes. And finally she talks also about positioning. So if you want to design a composition which is nice and balanced, she also explains how to do that, how to put flowers together to make them look interesting, and she does it in different styles. So you know, you can cut certain flowers, put them into a shape or a composition that you desire, and she teaches you what would be pleasing to the eye. So yeah, absolutely love this book. It's gorgeous. It's very beautiful coffee table book, and like I said, I definitely wanted to include it in my gift guide, which I did. So it's worth investing in, and I think this one was about £20, so it's not too expensive. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. See you soon.